In his first few months of office, President Trump signed a law aimed at cutting off federal funding to Planned Parenthood. This as the Suncoast's best-known champion for the organization's efforts, Barbara Dravecki, announces her retirement.
People are going to miss Barbara Dravecki's leadership, just generally, because she was a terrific member of the community, and she showed courage and grace in the face of a lot of difficulty.
Barbara Dravecki, I've known for 25 years almost, and I know her to be very single-minded and focused on what she does at Planned Parenthood. I just think it's the wrong organization for her to have committed to.
Barbara Dravecki not only has the respect of Planned Parenthood supporters, but also many of the organization's most ardent critics. Dravecki, who for more than 2 decades has been the president and CEO of Planned Parenthood of Southwest and Central Florida, announced her retirement earlier this year, just as President Donald Trump barred state and local governments from giving federal funding for family planning services.
They provide them with gynecological health care services, all kinds of pap smears, breast scans, all kinds of things, in places and for people who will not get those services otherwise.
However, the organization has faced harsh opposition from conservatives who praise Trump for his anti-abortion moves.
They will point out that 3% of their services are abortions, and so it's just a tiny part. But that's because they count services as practically every brochure they hand out is a service.
The president's newest measure nullifies a rule put in place in the last days of the Obama administration, which said states and localities could not withhold money from a healthcare provider.
People like me don't believe that our tax dollars should be going to support an organization where, that's the biggest abortion provider in the nation. There's tons of other groups that help women and that get federal dollars for it. So there's really no need for Planned Parenthood to exist beyond them being the greatest abortion provider in the country.
Trump's daughter has urged her father to tread lightly on the topic, and as a middle ground, the president proposed preserving federal funding for Planned Parenthood if it stops providing abortion services. Abortion rights activists condemning that action, saying it would harm women's health.
Their main tactic is to restrict women's access to abortion by putting on odious regulations and reporting requirements and stuff like that to make it impossible for the people who provide those services to stay open. And when you do that to Planned Parenthood, you're knocking out one of the really important service delivery vehicles, because poor people, college students and so forth, they're not going to get a pap smear, for example, without Planned Parenthood being there to do it for them.
And the organization says it will never accept such a deal.
Let's take care of people first and then have our battles. Taking away health care for women across this country and young people is not progress by any standard.
Federal law already prohibits government funding for abortion, which is where Barbara Dravecki has played a big role in raising funds for the organization right here in her own backyard. With her retiring, the question remains, who will replace her, and what could it mean for Planned Parenthood on the Suncoast?
Planned Parenthood is in a period of great stress. So finding the right leader for here or there or anywhere is a challenge.
It almost will have to change to some degree, because Barbara was the face of Planned Parenthood for decades here and for this whole region. So it's going to have to take some sort of a new direction.
Despite the challenges facing Planned Parenthood on a national level, both sides agree the loss of Dravecki will leave a lasting impact for those here in Florida.
Barbara Dravecki has fought the good fight for a long time.
It will be a challenge without her, because she was a great fundraiser for them, and they'll need to find somebody else that's able to, wring the dollars out for the organization, competing with a lot of nonprofits in this area.
The measure cleared Congress in March, with Vice President Mike Pence casting the tie-breaking vote in the Senate. Jacqueline Matter, ABC 7, your Suncoast News.